Hi guys! Welcome back! I'm so excited to be here. Was I forced to be flooded with the presence of the Holy Spirit in order to record a YouTube video today? Absolutely. And you know what? That's why it's gonna be good. I moved to California, but it's just a state of mind. It turns out everywhere you go, you take yourself. That's not a lie. Guys, to me, it sounds like Lana Del Rey was onto something when she said, it turns out everywhere you go, you take yourself, that's not a lie. And that's what leads me into the topic of this video, which is moving back to New York City after I said I was never gonna move back to New York City. Let's take it from the top. About 2.5 years ago now, I was living in New York as a 24-year-old, living on unemployment, and all of my friends had left the city and I was like bored as hell. I thought to myself, the only way to find happiness is to leave the hustle and bustle of New York City and move to Austin, Texas. Why did I move to Austin, Texas? Basically the only reason I did it was because I was standing on my roof in New York one day. In Bushwick, I had this really intense and almost divine, and it came to me like, I need to move to Austin, Texas, or else. I don't know what would have happened if I stayed in New York. All I knew is that I needed to leave. The place I needed to go needed to be Austin, Texas. So I literally bought a Prius for my older brother. I got someone to like sublet my place in New York, and I just moved to Austin knowing basically no one. And honestly, as soon as I got to Austin, my life fell into place like a perfect puzzle. The story goes, I've told this story so many times. Basically, 2 months before I moved to Austin, this dude DM'd me on Instagram being like, oh hey, I saw your Mexico City vlog, and if you're ever in Austin, I feel like we should hang out. And I never responded to this. I was like, I don't respond to Instagram DMs, but I thought he was kind of cute. Anyways, a week after moving to Austin, I ended up living in this house with 2 other girls, and one of the roommates I met the first day, we instantly, like, friendship love bombed, which was awesome for me because I didn't know anyone. And she was like, oh, let me take you to this bar that my friend works at. She was like, by the way, don't think this is weird, but I feel like he might flirt with you because you're his type. I was like, okay, let me see what this dude looks like. And she showed me his Instagram, and I was like, this guy already DM'd you on Instagram 2 months ago. This is gonna be fun. And we walked into the bar, and the second I saw him, it was over. I fell instantly in love. Yeah, that was 2.5 years ago. We've been together basically ever since. We like had this crazy night. His eyes lit up. He made this joke like, oh my god, you're my celebrity crush. And I was like, that's right, motherfucker. I was like, I have this dude wrapped around my little finger. So moral of the story is basically I fell in love the second I moved to Austin. Okay? And then I got a job in the service industry, as I do. And then 1.5 years passed in Austin, Texas. Happy as a clam. So the vibe in Austin was so amazing at first in this way that it felt like this little paradise. It's beautiful there in certain ways, like there's Barton Springs where you can go swim. There's so many young people. Everyone there is like under 30, it feels like. And there's just this like general happiness to Austin that's intoxicating and very healing. And I felt held by the city. I felt like I made friends really easily. I fell in love instantly. I like moved in with my boyfriend right away. And it actually went well. My experience of living with exes in the past was so toxic and crazy. It only lasted 2 weeks. But with my boyfriend now, it was just like, we just meshed together so well. But yeah, the city feels like Neverland a little bit, where every single night it's so easy to just go out and have so much fun and feel really fulfilled just by socializing and by the people you're around. And I slowly started to forget about my own creative career pursuits and passions. It felt like before I knew it, I woke up and I went from 24 to 26, and I was like, where the fuck did my life just go? Like, what just happened to these 2 years, you know? I found it a little bit hard to be creatively inspired in Austin just because I wasn't really around as much competition or people that were like hustling as much. I felt like when I lived in New York, my friends and I were very driven by creative pursuits, and that was a very social thing. Doing photo shoots, writing in coffee shops together. It felt like this momentum of we're in the big city and like we have to make our name here, we have to make a big splash. I definitely missed that aspect of life. Also, there's this factor of when you're choosing a city, you have to think about how the actual landscape and history of the city and what is the public transportation like? What is the architecture like? There's so much that goes into living in a place that's gonna make you feel like you belong there. And although I loved living in Austin, it didn't feel truly like home to me because I'm from Boston, Massachusetts. I'm used to having a town center and a city center and somewhere to, like a hub to go walk around. The vibe in Austin is, you know, it's like an American sprawl of a city. Oh, there's this one cool restaurant, let's drive and go there. There's this one cool bar, let's drive in the go. Everyone was drunk driving in Austin too, jeez. They had to ship extra state troopers into Austin because everyone was drunk driving all the time. Okay, so what we're dealing with here, and what I've realized my specific mental psychosis is, and I think this is a common human issue, like I'm not that special, is projecting the self you want to be onto a future place or a future point in time that's not obtainable in this moment. So for me, when I was living in New York, I started to think to myself, I can't be my true self here because there's too much competition and I need to be a big fish in a small pond. I'm burnt out from being so stressed out and feeling like my life is in danger. I made so many excuses thinking that, oh, once I go to Austin, it'll be more peaceful. But then of course, the inverse happened when I went to Austin and now I'm thinking people here aren't driven enough, or there's not enough competition for me to feel inspired by them. So I was in a constant state of blaming on my situation and not just the ability within myself to make shit happen that I wanted to make happen. And to be honest, my whole mid-20s have been a battle of just putting things off and then constantly coming back to this place of I just need to take action and do it. Yeah, I found myself pushing down my true aspirations and goals and running away because it was easier to do that when the expectations weren't so high, essentially. And around this time last year, I was driving around Austin with my boyfriend and I was like, babe, I feel like I need to move back to New York. I feel like I have unfinished business there. And I just missed this really fully embodied, creative, motivated version of myself and I wanted to get that shit back. I was like, give her back to me. The major thing that I've been learning as I move cities willy-nilly and try to figure out where's the perfect place for Karen to be. Carolyn. What I've been finding is basically, it's not even up to me anymore. My life is such that there will be such extenuating circumstances that will rock bottom me out of a place or into a place. Or I'll get such a strong feeling in my gut about a certain place. I'll have like this, I don't know, like aha moment of I need to go here. Or my life will turn out to be as such that I have no other choice. Let me tell you about what happened in between leaving Austin and coming to New York. When I was in Austin, I never had any intention of moving back to New York, even though I had some feelings of, oh, I feel like I have unfinished business there, or maybe I should go back. My boyfriend and I were thinking we were going to be moving into the mountains, buying a house, and like having babies or something along those lines. I was like, and also my boyfriend is from Texas. He's from like bumfuck nowhere, eastern Texas. And he had been living in Austin for the last 8 years. So he was over Austin. He was over Texas. He didn't know where he wanted to live next. I didn't know where I wanted to live next. Our plan was to go back to Boston to stay with my family for the summer. This was last summer, 2023. And then go on a 6-month journey to Asia and just like screw around in Asia and have the time of our lives for 6 months and then just figure it out. So we spent a year saving for this Asia trip. We left Austin, we sold all of our things in our house. We took the Prius back to Boston and stayed there with my family for the summer. I don't even basically remember the summer, nothing happened. But it was a good recuperation time. The summers in Texas are actual hell. You're in the hellfires of hell. It is 110 degrees every single day. So my boyfriend and I have our trip to Asia planned. We take a one-way flight to Tokyo, and from basically the moment that I exited that plane, my body started to react in so many different ways that I could have never foreseen. And mind you, we were so excited for this trip. I was like, this trip is gonna change our lives. My boyfriend had been to Asia a few years before for like a year and he was obsessed with it. It was all he could talk about. He was like, we're basically gonna get there and never wanna leave. The second we got to Japan, I started getting horrible, debilitating back pain. Like I got a bacterial infection. This is like really gross, guys, but just bear with me. 10 days into the trip, I got a bacterial infection on my butt, which was essentially giant pimples that were basically boils all over my butt. Thinking back to it, I almost started crying because it was really mentally traumatic and I had to continually go on antibiotics. And I would take the antibiotics and it would go away for a week and then it would come back. And I was trying to push through this trip. So we got to Kyoto and it was getting better and I was trying to put on a brave face because I didn't want to be the reason that this whole Asia trip was ruined. Like we've been so excited about it. And it was just this back and forth thing where it would heal and then it would come back and it would heal and then I would get food poisoning and then I would get like a sore throat and I would be like really sick with that. Like I just kept getting sick and ill and getting infections to the point where 2 months into the trip we were in Vietnam and I had food poisoning. My butt was covered in pimples. I just told Josh, I have to leave. Like, there's something so sinister happening and I can't put my finger on it. But for some reason, every part of my body was reacting. It was just like ended this trip. And it's really hard to reconcile with, especially if you've just been fantasizing and romanticizing about something for so long and then physical things outside of your control happen and your body is unwell. You can't mind over matter this one, you know? So during this time in Asia, when we were in Japan, my boyfriend and I were going back and forth of where should we live. And we basically settled on Asheville, North Carolina. And I don't know why because we were like, oh, we're gonna be in the mountains, we're gonna have a car, we're gonna buy a house, like all this, even though we have no money to do any of those things, but also we were spending all of the money we had saved in Asia. So we agreed on Asheville, and we were just like so sick of going back and forth between like, should we move back to Austin? Should we move to New Orleans? Should we move to Colorado? Nothing seemed right until we were in this pool overlooking the ocean on an island off of Vietnam called Phu Quoc, and Josh was like, we need to move to New York. And it just seemed very clear and it was peaceful. I had that feeling of just like certainty. I guess my point is just that in life, it's really easy to overthink, like what's the next step gonna be? Especially nowadays, I don't know, it feels like there's too many options and everyone's kind of obsessed with, you know, how shitty America is, and it's like, let's give up on America, and no city is perfect, and like California sucks now, and New York is dirty and disgusting, and like Austin used to be awesome, but now it's expensive and overrun with techies, and it's all true. But I'm at the point where I'm like, babes, we just gotta go with the feeling, make a decision, and then fully live out that decision. Because I'm so sick and tired of second guessing myself, second guessing my life, and just like, I'm sick of thinking about where I want to live. Because at the end of the day, babes, New York truly is the only real city in America. Like, there's plenty of other awesome cities, but they're not like, I don't know, they don't have what New York has. Like, New York has a je ne sais quoi. It's built on the magical crystals. I don't know if you've heard about the crystals that New York is built on, but this is 100% true. Don't you dare doubt me on this one. And yeah, I get to go outside my front door and have an adventure every day. Meet new people, see new things. I love to see life on the street. That's another huge thing I missed about New York, is the fact that the city is just integrated and you're just like with each other and you're in it on public transportation, walking around. We're all participating in the city together. But it feels good. It's spring now. The daffodils are out. The cherry blossoms are blooming. And I'm so excited to be back in New York City, and I'm so excited to be creative again. I hope you're excited for me. I hope you're ready for me. I'm back, baby. And I'm not going anywhere this time. I do feel like, you know that meme that's like, I hate small talk. I only want to talk about aliens and sex and God. Like, I so relate to that. Except when it comes to talking about cities. I love talking about the pros and cons of living in different places. It honestly is so entertaining to me. So I hope this was entertaining to you guys. Okay guys, thank you for listening, and I'll see you later.